Peace be with you, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Trevor. Very grateful to have you here, and today's video is going to be a recap of my weekly fragrance rotation, rounding out the end of the month of October. So Monday for me, Monday and Tuesday both were about the last stretch of warm weather that we were getting foreseeably for the remainder of the year. We were still up into the high 70s, and then about at Wednesday it really started to veer off a cliff, and we've been hanging out around the highs of 50. So those two last couple of nice days here in October in the autumn for me, though, I decided to reach for a little bit more fresh, jovial, bright style fragrances that are great for the autumn time. The first one on Monday was Eau Sauvage Parfum from Dior. This is, I think, citron, vetiver, elemi, lavender. So the lavender in here is a very nice, creamy, semi-sweet, very clean, old-school, masculine, borderline barbershop style lavender. You don't really get a kind of a soapy, clean, out of the can shaving foam vibe from this, but it definitely is in that realm of barbershop style. And then the elemi resin, which is one of my favorite notes for the autumn time, gives me a type of almost black licorice style woody faceted sweetness, and that comes together with the lavender in here in such a beautiful fashion, as well as the bright citron that really kind of makes this sparkly in some sense and perfect for that warmer weather in the autumn time. Definitely one of my favorite fragrances in my collection, period, but it was an incredible wearing experience for me on Monday. And then Tuesday, again, going for that theme of semi-bright, kind of jovial style fragrance for the brighter, sunnier, filtering in through the leaves on the trees style autumn day. This was Amouage Jubilation XXV. Again, this, like I said, you know, the Jubilation really comes to the foreground here. It is a bright, joyful, a little bit fruity, resinous. I like to compare this to a charcuterie board, and it wears, I hear it's been way watered down from its original formulation, but that watering downness makes it something that's a lot more wearable for me in higher heat. But the resinous qualities and the sweet sort of facets in here also make this perfect for the autumn time, whether it's warm or hot. Definitely one of my favorites in general for the autumn time, and it's perfumed by my favorite perfumer, Bertrand Duchefort. And this is one of two fragrances that I got a compliment on this week, and I got that at about the 3-hour mark. Incredible sillage on this one. I seem to go nose blind when I'm sniffing it off my wrist, but I really catch powerful, potent whiffs of it throughout the day as I'm moving about. Perhaps that was because the heat maybe helps it reject a little bit more. But this, again, you know, great wearing experience, definitely put me in a jubilant mood, and was one of two fragrances I got a compliment on. Definitely sample, see if this is right for you, though. Most niche fragrances I would recommend just getting a sample on before you pull the trigger and blind buy. Whereas like with designers and cheapies, a lot of the times you probably might be wasting like $15 or so trying to go for that, especially because they get discounted for under like $100 a lot of the times. But with the niche ones, definitely, because they are a little bit more daring of a scent profile, at least they used to be. And the old school Amouage definitely were a little bit more daring. So get your nose on that one if you're thinking about picking it up. And especially if you are used to the older formulation. I don't have that to compare it to, but most people that I've talked to are pretty let down when they smell the newer one. But great wearing experience for me on Tuesday. So Wednesday, like I said, Wednesday is where we really fell off the cliff in terms of weather. Started really getting damp, dark, cold, muggy, cloudy, hazy, gray. So this is one of my favorite rainy day fragrances, whether in the spring or the autumn, and sadly is discontinued. They're running for right around $160 on discounters right now. Hard to say if it's worth that price. For me, if I was trying to get a backup bottle, I would probably pull the trigger at that price because I love the scent profile that much. But it's probably, you know, it's pretty difficult to even sample it at this point in time. But one of my absolute favorite autumnal fragrances, this is Declartion Soir Intense. So if you're familiar with the original Soir, it kind of takes that culinary spice that you have in the Cartier Declaration line and envelops it around a nice dewy rose. The difference between this intense flanker and the original Soir is that instead of a dewy rose, this is a lot more of a jammy rose. So it's darker and sweeter with that nice culinary spice that Cartier Declaration does so well. Beautiful wearing experience. I've gotten complimented on the original Soir. I haven't gotten any compliments on this one yet. I've worn this a handful less times than the original, but the scent profile is gorgeous, classic, and it gives a little bit of that spooky vibe, the way that it's got a little bit of a darkness from the jammy quality of the rose, and plays very well in the rainy, kind of damp weather, for me at least. This was a great wearing experience on Wednesday to bring in and usher in the damp weather. This is Cartier Declaration Soir. Okay, Thursday, keeping in with it getting a little bit darker and colder, I wanted to grab something a little bit sweet and a little bit more mass appealing, since I was going to be working that day, and decided to go for Halloween Man X, one of the best cheapies for the cold weather on the market. This kind of takes the Versace Eros DNA, kind of dials back the offensive sweetness, I want to say, kind of, I don't know if maybe they put some ambroxan in here, but it gives it a little bit of a staticky texture that kind of takes the edge off of the overly sweet, gourmand, smooth quality that you get in some sweet fragrances. And then this adds a nice kind of coffee twist on top of the Eros DNA. And a little bit of a whiskey note that's very subtle. It's definitely not a boozy fragrance in terms of its center note quality, but this is easily one of the most complimented fragrances in my collection, period, and I get a very enjoyable wearing experience out of this one. It does have a really good projection, about average longevity. I get around 6 to 7 hours. Sometimes longer, depending, which is the case with one of the other fragrances that I'll be commenting on Sunday, which really surprised me with its variable longevity. But this one, I think you can find testers with caps for this for like 30 bucks on discounters, and I highly recommend picking it up. It's great for straddling all the way from the fall into the winter, because it does have such a nice, sweet, and, you know, lavender-esque coffee. Lavender also is another twist in here that I don't think was in the original Eros DNA. Also no green apple, but you just get that nice sort of aromatic, sweet, vanillic quality. Tonka bean in this case, and then yeah, like just kind of darkened up, a little bit of a staticky texture from maybe some ambroxan, I'm not exactly sure, and that whiskey note. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Definitely try it if you haven't already, especially for the price. Okay, Friday I like to wear niche fragrances. I did wear a few, or I wore Jubilation Man on Tuesday, but try to go out of my way to make sure I'm wearing a niche on Friday. It's my favorite day of the week. I like to honor it that way, and this is the other fragrance that I got a compliment on this week. Actually, two in the same day with this one. This is B612 from Nishane. So this is a woody barbershop fragrance. There's also some cashmere wood as a centerpiece in here that gives it a kind of a fuzzy texture. So it's a neo-fougere in some sense, because it doesn't quite, it definitely keeps to that lavender-centric, clean, masculine, old-school vibe that, you know, you definitely feel this being a fougere in that respect, but it has this unique, novel quality to it. It's definitely updated with some of that cashmere and some of the other nuances that they play off in here. Doesn't quite smell like Linsumi from Lalique, but that's another sort of neo-fougere that kind of updates the scent profile with some booze. Same thing with Pacha de Cartier, Parfum. But yeah, this one got me a lot of great compliments, both from men and women on Friday, and beautiful wearing experience, nice longevity. I get about 7 hours plus with this one, and it's just very clean and woody and easy to wear, easy to office safe, I would say. It is unique in terms of its scent profile. It definitely fulfills the description of niche, so I would recommend sampling before you buy, but you can get these 50 mLs for under 100 bucks at discounters a lot of times. Highly recommend this one, but sample first, because it is kind of like a unique smell, almost like Toy Boy. It doesn't smell like Toy Boy, but it's in that same vein where it's like a love-or-hate experience, I would say, with this one. Okay, so for Saturday, we woke up and it had some pretty nice bright weather, a little bit like what I have going on behind me today on Monday. So the day started off bright and jovial. I decided to reach for something that had a little bit of pink pepper, some lemon, and some musk in it. It's going to be bright and uplifting, but the weather took a turn by the time we were kind of leaving the house. Me and my daughter were going to some trunk or treat events. She's about like 19, 20 months right now, so she just barely is able to get her hand in the buckets of candy at the trunk or treat events. She dressed up as Tinkerbell. I'm gonna maybe try to get some tights and a hat for Tuesday, go with her as Peter Pan, but this one did a great job of transitioning from that bright morning into a little bit more cloudy, rainy, and windy afternoon because of some very beautiful, soft, and sweet woods in here in the form of sandalwood and cedar, talking about none other than Creed's Royal Oud. So like I said, you know, bright and jovial and brisk and not brisk, but like bright, jovial, and sparkling with the musk, pink pepper, and lemon, but then the sandalwood and cedar does a really good job of sweetening this up and softening it up in almost like Christmas style sweetness, like a baked good almost to some degree, but it keeps to like a very woody textural feel throughout the scent profile and composition. One of my favorite fragrances, point blank period, in my collection. It's a shame it is so expensive, but Creed's are some of the most easy to wear and easy to like niche fragrances in my collection, and this one is no exception. My go-to for the autumn transitioning into the winter time. And then finally, for Sunday, I wore this one right here, John Varvatos Vintage. And this is a beautiful sort of fruity barbershop fragrance. It's got a nice rhubarb note in here. And, sorry, my daughter's deciding to come over here and join me. She's reaching for the other bottles right now. So I'm going to wrap this up kind of quick. But I will say that the longevity on this one really surprised me. I put it on last night at around, 6 p.m. and it was still very, I could smell it in the shower this morning. So this brand gets a lot of bad rap for being, having poor longevity, but it's a beautiful barbershop fragrance with a nice lavender, a unique fruity twist with some rhubarb, tobacco being another main player in here. Highly recommend this one for the autumn time, and thank you Justin Copeland for putting us onto this one. Really appreciate you all sticking with me to the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.